does your character have a knack for tinkering, inventing new and amazing gadgets and gizmos to deal with every situation, but they always have that one masterpiece that's never quite finished? Well, then look no further than the Inventor, one of the 2 new classes from Pathfinder's 2nd edition's new book, Guns and Gears, published by Paizo. Hi, this is Steve from Nothing Ventured, Nothing Gamed, here to bring you our class dive of the new class, Inventor. First things first, we always go over what are the initial proficiencies of this class, so you can get an idea of what they're all about. Their key ability score is Intelligence. They also get 8 hit points, plus their Constitution modifier every level. They are trained in Perception. They are expert in Fortitude saves. They're trained in Reflex saves. And they are expert in Will saves. They start trained in crafting, as well as an additional number of skills equal to 3, plus the Inventor's Intelligence modifier. They are trained in all simple and martial weapons, as well as unarmed. And they also trained in light and medium armor, as well as unarmored, as well as the Inventor's class DC. The Inventor gets a number of class abilities. The first thing we're going to talk about is Overdrive. The Inventor turns all their gadgets and gizmos to their optimum setting and try to boost their damage just a little bit more. So, say one action activity, their frequency is once a round, and they have to make a crafting skill check. This DC is a standard DC based on the Inventor's level. You can find the list of the DCs in the core rulebook. If they get a success, then they add to all their strikes a boost of damage equal to half their Intelligence modifier. This benefit lasts for a minute and then has a minute cooldown after it is finished. If you critically succeed, it's the same as success, except that you get your full Intelligence modifier to all your strikes. If you fail, you gain no benefit, but nothing really bad happens to you. You can always try again next round. If you critically fail, though, you explode and take a number of points of fire damage equal to your level, and then you can't try Overdrive again for 1 minute. So this is a very interesting ability that is similar to some Bard abilities that require you to make a skill check, but there's no focus points involved here. It's just a skill check. You can try it once around, and even if you succeed and you're under the effects of Overdrive, you can still, on your subsequent turns, try to roll another Overdrive check to see if you can push it to that critical success. But if you get a critical failure, your Overdrive stops and it goes on that 1 minute cooldown. Now, like I said in the beginning, what Inventor is anything without their innovation? That innovation is their one pinnacle piece of technology that they've developed. It could be a suit of armor, it could be a construct companion, because hey, everyone needs a friend, or it is a weapon. If you pick armor, the book gives you 2 different types of armor to pick from, and as well as you select a single armor modification to attach to your armor at first level. A lot of these give the armor different types of damage reduction. Some of them also give, instead of damage reduction, they give you pluses to certain skills or effects. And they almost all have an Overdrive effect. While you're in the effects of Overdrive, it boosts the effect of this modification. So the second choice, if you don't like the armor, is a construct companion, because every Inventor needs a friend. It is a companion, so you have to spend actions on your turn to command your construct. The construct in this way has a couple of extra benefits. Normal command an animal or command your companion is a 1 action activity, and the companion gets 2 actions. The Inventor can choose to spend 2 actions to command their companion, and the companion gets 3 actions. When you Overdrive, you both gain the benefits of the Overdrive benefit, but also if you critically fail and take that fire damage, you both take the fire damage. You can choose either a small or medium companion, and you can also pick a single companion modification, which alters your companion in certain ways. Either it gives him maybe a ranged attack, maybe it gives him a swim speed, maybe it makes him move faster. There's a variety of different options you can select. Your companion starts with 2 different types of melee strikes. There's a couple of different options for each that you can pick. Its stats are pretty set in the book. There's only one option, and it has a number of hit points. It actually is pretty beefy. So the companion starts out with 10 hit points plus 6 plus its constitution modifier for every level it has, for every level you have. Your construct is a bit harder than what a normal construct would be. Normal constructs hit 0 and they immediately destroyed. This doesn't happen with the construct with your companion. If it is reduced to 0 hit points, then it is broken. You can go and use your craft skill instead of medicine to try to repair it. But it's generally immune to most effects that stabilize player characters. And it has a whole bunch of immunities just because it's a giant robot. But if it does go down and become broken 2 or more times during about a 10-minute period, then it's determined as destroyed, and you have to spend a day of downtime to try to put it back together. The third and final thing you can choose for your innovation is a weapon. Now, this can be any simple or martial weapon that you have access to. If it's a level 0 item, you get this item for free. If it's a level 1 common item, then you have to pay whatever the cost is out of your starting gold. Just like armor, these weapons can attach property runes and fundamental runes. The armors can attach property and fundamental runes. As well as when you pick your weapon, you also can pick a weapon modification. And certain weapon modifications are specific to ranged weapons or melee weapons, simple weapons. So these generally give you extra traits or abilities that you can use with your weapon. The final activity that the first level Inventor will get is called Explode. It's a 2-action activity, and it has the unstable trait, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. When you decide to explode your innovation, you have to be near it. So if it's a companion, you have to walk over to it and be next to it. If it's your armor, you have to be wearing it. If it's your weapon, you have to be wielding it. What happens is you explode, or the innovation itself explodes in 2d6 points of fire damage in a 5-foot emanation from either you or your companion. Well, now this is where and it's a reflex save to save for the damage, a basic reflex save. And as you get higher level, the damage gets higher, and potentially the radius can get larger if you choose. But now we're going to talk about the unstable trait. So anytime you use an ability that has the unstable trait, what happens is the effect happens, and the moment the effect finishes, so people, the 2d6 damage went out, you roll the damage, people roll their saves, they figured out what happened, and the moment that happens, you have to roll a flat check. The DC is 17. If you succeed, your innovation took no damage. You push it past its limits, but it's okay. And it can keep using unstable traits. Every time you use it, you keep rolling that DC 17 flat check. If you fail, it kind of failed spectacularly, but also harmlessly. So no other ill effects, except you can't use any more unstable actions until you spend 10 minutes kind of putting everything back together where it's supposed to be. If you critically fail the flat check, then something interesting happens. So same thing as failure. You can't try another unstable action for 10 minutes as you put your thing back together. But you and your automation, if it's a companion, take 1 point of fire damage for every level. So if you're a 5th level Inventor and you explode, you're going to take 5 points of fire damage. The Inventor also at 1st level gains 2 free feats. They gain the Inventor feat, which came out a lot earlier than the actual Inventor class did. The Inventor feat from the core rulebook. And all this feat does is allow the person who takes this feat, generally, you need to be 7th level to take this feat. It's a crafting skill feat. This feat allows you to spend downtime to create formulas that then you can use crafting to build later. The second feat that they get at first level is shield block. So, given all this information, you can either focus on having a badass suit of armor, but also all these other gadgets and gizmos with Overdrive, Explode. But now we're going to talk about the Inventor feats. So, just like a lot of other classes, there's generally feats for that one choice you make for your character. Right? So the Barbarian, you want to be a Dragon Barbarian, there's a whole bunch of feats for you to Dragon. You want to play Inventor with armor, there's a whole bunch of armor feats that you can pick that make your armor better, give it new abilities, and just let it be more awesome. The thing is, you want to pick the weapon, you get a whole bunch of weapon feats that let you do kind of badass stuff. There's ones in here for the companion to give the companion improved stats, just maybe make it bigger, just make the companion just a little more useful, a little better. But there's also an interesting thing about the Inventor, because as you remember in the Overdrive feat, it's implied that you're kind of like turning and adjusting other gizmos on your person that overdrives you to be able to do all this extra damage based on your intelligence. So this is reflected in the feat selection, where some of these feats have nothing to do with the fact that you have this innovation, but it's more of the fact that you've developed some sort of gizmo that helps you with a problem. Like one of the feats was a set of goggles that lets you see dark vision and eventually lets you see invisible creatures every so often. Also, if you're playing in a game where you pick the companion, so you have this giant spider robot, you have this giant little four-legged beast-looking robot walking around, or however your construct looks, and it's pretty unsettling to other people, to normal people who don't really understand what an Inventor is and how this machine is walking on its own and doing stuff. They even have an ability for people like that. If you want to bring that concept into your game, they even have a collapsible construct where it basically gives you an action where you can fold up your construct and make it look like a suitcase, so you can walk around innocuously doing your thing in town and then unfold it, and now it's a robot ready for bear. They even have some interesting unstable actions. One of them I really like is called Searing Restoration, where basically it explodes into healing. And people told you that it was impossible, but you said nothing is possible, I will make it work. Something like that, that's unstable, so it can break your automation, or it can make it unstable actions unusable for a short time. You have purely combat options that require your innovation, things like Megaton Strike and Megavolt, and these like weird abilities that are more strictly combat focused. They also have some feats that have a base thing that they do, but they also have an unstable function, which is an interesting idea. So your feat will generally do something. Let's take Electrify Armor. So you can power up your armor, and if people touch you, they're going to take damage. But it has an unstable function, which means you can choose to use this as an unstable action, which could cause your innovation to not be able to use unstable actions. It also could cause you to take a little damage if you crit failed. What this does is it boosts the effect of the feat. So, just like in the case of Electrify Armor, if things hit you with a natural attack that's not a natural melee attack, or a non-reach melee weapon, they're going to take a little bit of electricity damage. In this case, 1d4 damage, and it boosts to 2d4 if you have a certain level and a certain class feature. But if you make it unstable, it doesn't last for a round. It lasts for a whole minute, and those d4s turn to d12s. So things are taking a really shocking experience when they hit you. If you happen to use the unstable version and you do fail or critically fail, no matter, the next time you use this, you can still use this feat, but you can only use the base version of it until you've spent that time to repair your innovation. So they really went all out with the idea of the Inventor, the idea that you are mainly your one innovation, but the idea is that you're always crafting, you're always tinkering with stuff. So there's plenty of feats for your specific weapon, your specific construct, or your specific armor, or your innovation abilities. But there's also things that really lean into the idea that you're constantly making little gadgets and gizmos to fit a certain purpose. And then we talked about before the goggles that let you see in the dark, but also eventually let you see invisible creatures, albeit it's really hard. There's things like Gadget Specialist. When you take Gadget Specialist, you get a couple of free formulas for gadgets, which is a new item type in the new book and the Guns and Gears book. And it allows you during your daily preparations to make 2 free gadgets, matching a certain level requirement. As you get higher in your crafting, you get a 3rd one. So you're always crafting, you're always having those gizmos ready. And even there's an upgrade to this where you don't even have to make them ahead of time. You kind of prepare what they look like, kind of. But then you can go, oh, no, I'm going to reconfigure this real quick. And now this is this other thing that I really need right now. Yeah, so that upgrade is called contingency gadgets. So you're putting them in a spot of readiness, but you're not quite sure what it is. And you'll be able to snap it into place into exactly what you need at the exactly right time. So that was a quick overview of the Inventor class and the new Guns and Gears book. I think it's really cool. If your GM allows the steampunk nature of the Inventor class, I think it's a really nice addition. And if you guys want to let us know if you like the Inventor class and what kind of Inventor you'd be, drop a little mention in the comments below. Because I'm pretty sure the last thing the enemies want to see is a armored Inventor flying at them, ready to explode their armor in the face of the enemy. But this has been Steve from Nothing Ventured, Nothing Gamed. May all your die rolls be 20s, and may you always roll max damage.